Welcome back to The Takeout. Thanks for staying with us. Army Chief of Staff Randy George is not a household name. Fact. But he is known and respected, not only with the United States Army, but across all of our services. He's out of his job as part of the Trump administration purge at the Pentagon, which seems to be gaining momentum, accelerating. George was nominated to the post that he was just ousted from by President Biden in 2023. That position, under normal circumstances, has a 4-year term attached. Sources tell CBS News 2 other Army officers were also removed from their jobs. The total purge on the administration is now numbering more than a dozen high-ranking service members. As I mentioned earlier in the show, Eleanor Watson would come back. She has. I'm so glad you're with us. Describe what's going on, Eleanor.
Well, Randy George yesterday was informed by Secretary Hegseth that he would like for George to immediately retire. There are two things at play, according to our sources. One is that Hegseth wanted someone in that spot, the top U.S. Army military officer who aligns with a Hegseth President Trump vision of the military, even though the military has historically been apolitical. That George may not fit that mold in Hegseth's mind because George, as you mentioned, was nominated by President Biden and previously served as the senior military assistant to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin from 2021 to 2022. We should note, though, that that's not all George did in his career. He's been an Army officer since 1988, having graduated from West Point. He served in the first Gulf War and then later commanded in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. The second thing at play, we're told, is there is tension between Secretary Hegseth and his own Army Secretary, Dan Driscoll. And the fact that George is close to Driscoll played a part in Hegseth giving George this early retirement, a year early.
It landed almost as an ultimatum.
That's right. And we've seen that before.
Mm-hmm. I want to read to you something that I came across in The Atlantic today from Tom Nichols under the headline, Hegseth's War on America's Military. What I'm about to read is not with the editorial nature of that article, but a fact that I think you would agree with and I'd like you to evaluate. These officers, meaning all who have been purged under Hegseth's leadership, are all people with long and distinguished records of service. None of them has been charged with any wrongdoing, and none of them has been accused of any kind of incompetence or disloyalty. True?
That's true. We haven't really heard since the early retirements or the firing started last year, haven't really heard many reasons for them, which you would expect to because it ends these, almost 40-year careers. But what I do want to mention is it's not just the people that there have been some against the norms. Just this week, we saw the secretary kind of overrule the Army in an investigation into 2 Apache helicopters flying near Kid Rock's house. The Army initially announced those pilots would be suspended.
Pending an investigation.
Pending an investigation, a formal investigation. Secretary Hegseth, on his personal X account, lifted that suspension, said there will be no investigation. That is usually left up to the services. The second example, it was a few weeks back, but was the promotion list that Secretary Hegseth was personally holding colonels from becoming one-star generals because he didn't want some of the names. He didn't think some of the names on that list deserved that promotion. That is almost unheard of, based on what I've heard from current and former officials, for the secretary to weigh in on a process that the services go through very comprehensively for months, especially to weigh in on a promotion from a colonel to a one-star.
That is a merit-based process, rigorous, and supposed to be immune from politics, so people understand that you can succeed in the military by doing the task, not by saluting in a particularly political way.
And so that you're not tagged with having done something under the previous administration.
Right.
Your work should speak for itself.
Your military career speaks for itself,
exactly.
Independent of any administration that comes or goes. Eleanor Watson, as always, thank you very much.